And it is 4:30, and we have all the council present here this evening, and we welcome all those of staff that have joined us spread out throughout and it's great to be back in one place here, and we also welcome those who are joining us on YouTube this evening. So our first item on our work session here is a discussion on selling property and a parking agreement with Roger Harding's Development. Administrator.
I'm going to have Daniel pull up a map for you to take a look at. If you're familiar with 220 South and Pleasant Grove Boulevard, where a recent traffic signal went in, we have Roger Harding, who owns a piece of property just, I would say it's on the southeast corner of that. There you go. We have a pointer. So what you see in the yellow is owned by Mr. Harding. What you see in the red is owned by the city. This property here, the intention of this property is to build a storm drain basin, but also to create a park in some manner. So we haven't really fully decided exactly what that park looks at. We haven't really planned it, partially because we don't have the funding to build the basin. But that is the intention of us obtaining this property. Part of the property was given to the city with a restriction that it could only be used for a park or storm drain basin, and then the other part of this property we own outright, so we have flexibility on what we want to do. So Mr. Harding has approached the city. He wants to put a building on here. If you want to go to the next one, Daniel. Just a reminder, this is not a site plan approval tonight. This is not a contemplating certain things that normally would be contemplated when it comes to getting ready to approve this. This is a concept plan. As we've been approached as a city, in order for them to do a 3-story office complex and to get the necessary parking, they're willing to work with the city, and we're willing to work with them on certain things, and this is what we need to bring up to you to see how you feel about this. So we're not really approving a project. We're just saying, okay, here's the parameters under which, if we're going to say no to a couple things at this point, I don't know if it necessarily kills their project or if they just have to go back and do things quite a bit different. So this is the property I was talking about that is city-owned, and this is the property they have. They want to do this. In order for them to do a 3-story office, they need all of this parking here. And part of the requirement that they have is if they have parking on our property, then they have to have a certain amount on their property. They have to have, is it 60%, Daniel?
That's correct.
So 60% actually has to be on their property, and then 40% can be off their premises. So initially when they put this together, they approached us and said, look, we'll pay for this parking to go in. So when the park gets developed, we'll have a joint parking agreement. They'll pay to put all the improvements in, and we're the beneficiary of getting some additional parking for our future park. And then we ran into the snag of they needed 60% of their parking on their property, and so what they need now is this little triangle to purchase from the city, which is 0.065 acres or 2,800 square feet. In order for them to, if they buy that from us, now they have the parking necessary that they need to do their office complex, with the understanding that this part of it would be a shared parking agreement with the city. So there's two things that we're asking for you to just give me some guidance on. Are we interested in selling this piece of property to them? And are we interested in doing the cross-parking agreement? Now also, along with what they're doing when they develop this, is they're going to put in the street improvements. So if you remember, this is the bottleneck on PG Boulevard as you're moving to Center Street, that goes from 2 lanes down to 1 lane, then back up to 2 lanes. So they'd put in the necessary street improvements along the whole frontage there that would now make it 2 lanes on that side, which would complete now that we would have 2 lanes all the way from North County Boulevard to Center Street. So the city would be the beneficiary of that. We'd be the beneficiary of the parking. But it would require us to sell this and then to have a cross-parking agreement. And Roger and Curtis are here. Did I cover that, kind of how you, I mean, what you're asking for is what we're representing as a city? So are there any questions about what we're asking?
Just two questions. So tell me what this looks like right here.
Oh, okay, so that's an entrance, that's an ingress right there.
That goes to the,
Boulevard?
yeah, but it goes into that car wash slash
Yeah,
auto shop, right? So is that gonna continue there?
yeah, so the ingress would be, people would be able to come in, they'd be able to go this way or this way.
Okay, all right, and then the other question is what's along this fence here? Is there a fence here, or is this just?
No, that's just the
No.
property line.
This just would go into the grass?
Yeah, so the intent would be for us to build the basin, so you could, these are the lines that would show that we'd have to excavate down in. This is the low point down here. And so we'd be able to retain the water. I think our intention would be to landscape it, to have it be a grass area.
Soccer fields?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if a soccer field would necessarily fit there. But, you know, this is just,
It's play lawn.
I got it.
well, in essence, but right now we're not contemplating a playground. We're not contemplating restrooms. This would be a little bit more of a, because it's not that big to kind of be this full-fledged park.
Right, but we're not gating. It's gonna be a park.
Yes.
For sorts.
For everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't want to paint this picture that all of a sudden this is going to be
No, I get it.
a lot of people here. It's going to be more of really a storm drain basin that's going to be landscaped. You know, we'd probably put a little trail around it. I mean, this is all conceptual. You know, whether there's a pond there or not, again, that's conceptual, depending on, because there is some wetlands and there's
Yeah.
some mitigation.
Are
and
the
there's-
blues on that property?
What's that?
The blues,
Yeah, there's some wetlands. And so there's things that are gonna need to be figured out before this is all said and done. But as staff, as we look at this and what they proposed, we're comfortable with it, but we didn't wanna go and start negotiating and get so far down the line, and then all of a sudden, we're saying, well, we don't wanna do that, and meanwhile, they've started architecting a building, and they've headed down a certain road too.
Yes, I think we ought to look at selling the property.
So what we'll do is, if you'll just, you know, authorize essentially for us as staff to enter into negotiation, we'll put together the sale of the property and the cross-parking agreement, and then we'll bring that back to you.
Okay, Eric, you okay?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
an enthusiastic yes.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Brent? Sid?
Although,
Okay.
Curtis, it blocks your view from your building now. You don't get a nice view of the mountain now.
You know, if I'm gonna design a building that I'm gonna be looking at for the next 15 years, I'm gonna pay really careful.
Okay, all right.
That
And
will be a nice looking
location,
building.
Good call.
orientation of the building.
You just move across the street.
Yeah, you
Yes.
might, yeah.
Okay. All right, well,
We're
thank you
thrilled.
guys for joining us, and let's work on this together, okay? We like your idea here.
This is such a unique setup we have right now.
Can't we have this permanently?
Yeah, we don't want this permanently.
No. it's good.
This is, I don't know, this whole coronavirus thing.
So,
We
Don't
just
get-
do
Okay.
weird stuff
Don't get us
right now.
going.
our
Yeah,
next
don't-
item,
Don't get started.
our next item for our work session tonight is to discuss the direction of our recreation facilities. So we'll turn time back to Scott.
Okay, we met on Thursday. I had some discussions, mostly centering around the rec center, a little bit about our library and our city hall, talking about how comfortable we are in starting to open our facilities back up. The direction that we got on Thursday was to put a plan together to see what it looks like for us to open up, so the council can say, yes, we're okay with that, let's open it, or no, let's not. And just by way of reminder, and this is similar to the information that we gave you on Thursday, but there is, just like everything when it comes to this, it is a little bit fluid, and things do change, it seems like as days go past. But as we've talked with other rec centers about what they're doing specific to Utah County, what we're being told is Provo's opened today, so they're up and running with their rec center. I sent you an email, I think on Thursday, they changed rules on swim pools. And so right now, any swim pool that opens can be only for lap swim or for swim team practice. So there's no open play right now with swim pools, which for us doesn't necessarily change anything because we normally don't open until the last week in May. And just by way of information, we are planning on getting our pool open by June 1st. And it might just be lap swim only to start. And we do have a swim team, and then they can start practicing. We're hopeful that eventually we're going to go from orange to yellow on the scale, the risk scale that is a statewide scale. Once we go to yellow, we now can have free play. Now, there's some restrictions on that. It does limit our capacity, and it limits the number of people out on the deck and the number of people in the pool and things like that. But we want to start putting that into play so that if it comes out on June 1st that we're going to yellow, then we can open up for swim. So we're working on getting lifeguards lined up, getting them trained. We're working on getting the pool filled. They're fixing the slides right now. The slides might still be off limits even when this opens. We don't know that one yet. Yeah. Whatever the state's going to restrict, whatever they don't restrict, we're going to take advantage of it, and we're going to do what we can to be open and functional. But I guess what I'm saying is we're taking a little bit of a risk because if we're not at yellow by June 1st, then the pool's all open and we're heating it, and we're just going to have a few people using it with lap swimming. But if we don't do that and we hit June 1st and it's like, okay, we're yellow, then it's going to take us 2-3 weeks to get ramped up. So we want to be ramped up now and ready to go. So if you're understanding, that's our course of action as staff. Because we just can't flip on the switch and be closed one day, open the next day with all the preparation that it takes to do the pool. So with the rec center, we've contacted other cities again to take their temperature to see where they're at. Provo's opening today. Springville told me today that they're looking at May 18th as their opening. Springville has a nice brand new rec center. They also have indoor swim pools. And they're doing the same as everybody. There'll be limited access and things like that. But May 18th is their open date. American Fork is telling us they're shooting for May 28th. And Lehigh has told us that they're probably looking at June 1st. So both American Fork and Lehigh, the mayors got together last week and had a discussion about trying to maybe be together on what we're going to do here based on the impacts of what could happen. The initial discussion was we're going to wait 2 weeks and evaluate. I think, and this could all change tomorrow. I mean, that's what they're saying today. So this is our information as of today. And Lehigh said, we're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks, but our intent is to open on June 1st. And American Fork, I think, said something fairly similar. We're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks, but we're really kind of aiming for the end of May. We've asked Tyler to put together a plan for us to open. With where we're at in the plan, we could open this Friday, May 8th, if the council is comfortable with that. For the rec, yep. And that would be not everything in the rec. And so I'm going to have Tyler explain what open looks like, because this is not open as in everybody can come and we're going to have plenty of space for people to do it, whatever they want.
So you mentioned the pool, what about the rec center and the other facilities? Are they, when are they opening, like in the other cities?
The rec centers?
The rundown you just gave, was that?
The rundown was, sorry, that was rec centers, not pools.
Oh, that was rundown.
Yeah.
Hey, Sid, can you pull your mic over a little bit? I'm afraid you're going to get some bad, people are going to be calling in on the YouTube saying they can't hear you.
No, sorry I didn't make that clear. The dates I was giving you was for rec centers, not pools. Because Lehigh has an indoor pool, but they got a crack in their pool from the earthquake, so they're repairing that right now.
Wait, who did?
Lehigh did.
They had a what?
They have a crack in their pool from the
From
earthquake.
the earthquake.
So we're hoping, we're filling our pool soon. We're hoping we don't have any damage, but we won't find that out until we get some water in there.
Do we know pool dates from them?
I think their intention is to open, as soon as it goes to yellow, their intention is to
Okay.
open.
But
That's
the-
my understanding.
But the dates you gave were for rec center opening.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Tyler, where are you? Come on
Yeah,
up.
come up.
My understanding with Lehigh is it's going to be their pool. So they have a lap pool besides their free play pool, and they have an outdoor pool. I think they're planning on opening their pool if they can at that time. So we would be opening roughly the same time as them. But, so that's what the other rec centers, at least in Utah County, are doing. Salt Lake County's a whole different ballgame. They have some that are just staying shuttered for a while. They have some that are opening up. But I'll let Tyler talk about what our plan would be if we were to open up this Friday.
And while Tyler's coming up, Spanish Fork is going to open up on Friday their pickleball tennis courts, their skate park, and their gun club.
Spanish Fork.
And then on May 4th, it's the city buildings, the golf course, and the library.
So we never closed our
Yeah.
tennis
Yeah,
courts.
I know.
They closed theirs down. We didn't close. We didn't close down our parks outside of the playgrounds.
Or our
Some
golf
cities
course.
closed off their pavilions. We never did that. So some cities are opening things up of stuff that we never closed in the first
Right.
place.
Well done.
So happy birthday today, Director.
Thank you.
Today
So
your
how many years is it? We wouldn't ask that if.
39.
39? You're
quite
not
the
even
40
hit?
yet.
Boy, what a
Sure.
pup.
Yeah, actually, you're a birthday twin with my husband.
I
saw
this
that.
morning. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Tyler.
Thank you so much. Nothing like Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo during Corona
On your
At,
birthday.
at council meeting,
at council
That's a
meeting.
council meeting.
Well, it's going to be a long night, so just hunker down.
Even though your family's got balloons waiting for you.
we gave him permission to leave after work session.
Good
Did
job.
you have, before we go over this, is there, the Lehigh, most of the pools we're getting right now, the aquatics side, is everyone is hearing that it's just a lap swim. I just got this most updated from Brett. He was on, Zoom calls are every day right now. And so aquatics, most of them are trying June 1st, they're saying, for opening. But there's lots of things that go into that. The lifeguard classes, we put ours to be able to do a blended learning class online. So we contacted the ones that have applied, and they're currently going through an internet learning. And as soon as we can get them in water, social distancing, touching each other close, to be able to make saves and do things like that. So there's still some things we're working through there. But yeah, we'll get there. We're excited. The slides, if you'll drive by, the outside of them are painted right now. They look really good. And so we're excited to get that going. I'll just kind of go, this is kind of the main points of what the rec center will look like when we go to open, if we do it Friday, and just kind of the things that we talked about Thursday a little bit, and I got some feedback that maybe on some of these things that what you guys were thinking, but you can tell me any different as we go through it. So, of course, all patrons entering the facility must not be exhibiting any of those following symptoms: cough, chills, fever, shortness of breath, sneezing with nasal discharge. Our hours of operation, as we look through those numbers, those Monday through Friday, 5:30, it says 5:30, it should be 5, I apologize for that. 5 o'clock a.m. to 12 p.m., and then 4 o'clock p.m. to 8 p.m. Those were our busiest times during the day. And then Saturdays, it would just be a 7 a.m. to a 12 p.m.
And Tyler, is that just closing during the afternoon hours to save money at this point?
It helps on a couple different reasons. Right now, I'm trying to get employees back. We don't have any part-time employees right now, and some of them are compromised. Some of my front desk, they have stuff at home, illnesses at home that they're not comfortable coming back yet. A couple of them have their own illnesses, and so staff-wise, I'm just trying to make sure we have enough staffing. So this works for staffing-wise, and then also it is cost-effective, and that we can also take that time between 12 and 4 and do a good cleaning again for the 4 to 8 crowd that comes in. So a few things went into that. Oh, sorry about that.
Tyler, how are you handling the first part there, the cough chills? Are you just going to have people observing or?
That's changed
Yeah,
5 times in the Utah
days.
Leads Together 2.0. And the most recent one, and for people coming in, it's asking 3 questions of travel outside of the state, if there's any illness at home, or if they have any of those symptoms. It used to be that we were checking their temperature, but that also puts your employee in risk because they got to get 3 to 6 centimeters away to check that temperature. So I think that's why they went away from it. But with employees, we are mandate, and you'll see that as we go through this, but.
And there will be signage,
We have made a lot of signs,
Okay.
yeah, and there will be
Cool.
social distancing markers on the floor, and, yeah. A couple of things, and we talked about the age, only those that are 18 years and older will be allowed in the facility.
And why is that?
And that's just due to when, I think parents right now would love to go drop off their whole kid, every kid that they have at the rec center, and it could just become mass chaos at the rec
I think
center.
that's smart.
And so it's just a slow phase in. If we see that we're handling that well, who knows how quickly we can get some more in, and so.
I just want to make sure I understand, so when we do get questions about,
Yeah.
why is this or why is that, that we have, it's a valid, very valid reason, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, so there will be no childcare at this time. A total head count will be kept on patrons, and patrons may be asked to wait or return later if the max occupancy is met.
if you keep hitting that maximum, you could consider maybe appointments or something.
Yeah, we've looked at that. We've even
Okay.
talked with the software that Provo does have. It's called MindBody, and you can
Yeah.
actually check it's an app you can check on online and stuff like that. If
Yeah.
if that's our new normal, and we're trying to figure that out. So, so with that, like I was telling, 23 in the weight room, 23 in the cardio room, 12 in the CrossFit room. And our gymnasiums, our setups would be, we're trying to accommodate different people, so we'd have pickleball in one gym, since that's one of our popular things to do in there, and then basketball, and then it spread apart in the other gyms to get things going.
Are you bringing the curtains down, segregating it that way, or just open and then?
So we put pickleball in gym one, the one that's by itself, and then that would allow for more, the ball not going all over the place. And
Yeah.
so in basketball, we'd kind of keep that spread out, so. All patrons and that must maintain a 10-foot separation at all times unless they are family members living in the same household. We will not be using our touchpads or sign-in sheets to enter the facility. They would state their name, and the front desk attendant will check them in. We got some awesome sneeze guards today. They look really nice compared to a lot of the hokey ones I've seen around town, so. But
Well done.
yeah, they look really good. Appreciate Bill and Dion getting on that for us and taking care of that. And so those are in. Let's see. Each patron is required to disinfect all the equipment before and after each use. So what we're doing with that, we have individualized bottles, 23 for the rooms that have 23. We're gonna check that out to them when they come in, and they'll take that, and they're spraying their equipment before and after. That gives us a count of who, and we know where that person's at, and then when they come back, we're gonna sanitize it again, give it out to the next person, so.
Cool.
Those are all ready to go. And like I said, you guys see the areas that are open: gymnasiums, weight room, cardio room, and CrossFit area. Locker rooms will remain closed. With any questions on that for the locker rooms?
Yeah, why?
It's just the cleaning and the sanitation, staying on top of that after every single person would take a shower. It was just the continued maintenance there when we're wiping down machines after every use and lots of other stuff in other
What about
areas.
restrooms?
Restrooms will be open.
Okay, so
So
those
what
are
we're gonna do, we're gonna block off that locker room area and point to where the restrooms are located on the southeast corner. They can use the restrooms. Please limit workouts to no more than 90 minutes. There's not gonna be any equipment for rental. That's why we're gonna set up the pickleball nets and kind of have things already out that we would usually check out to people. The health department has strongly recommended the use of face masks, so employees will be wearing face masks, it's mandated, but it's just strongly recommended for the patrons that come in.
It'd be so hard to work out with a face mask.
I tried walking through Costco with one on, and I couldn't even breathe by the end of my
I know.
shopping trip, so.
So Tyler, so all the equipment right now in the weight room, in the open area, that's all still, you can use that? You just have to
So
wipe it down after use?
what we've done, and I'm gonna send you guys my Excel document, which is a lot more detailed than this is. But what we've done for the cardio area is put orange cones on every other piece of equipment. And then we have the option, if we've kind of picked the ones that are being used the most, and then we've moved like bikes into areas of the gym where you can still use the bikes and ones that are easily moved. And then our intent is we'll switch those cones over to each night so they can use different ones if they come back each day. But we really don't want to do that because we've selected most of the treadmills are the most popular ones and things like that. So you look like you have a question from that.
So if there's only gonna be certain pieces of equipment that are available.
23 pieces will be available at this
Okay.
time. And that's keeping our social distancing of 10 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
And in the
and that's
weight
what-
room, we've taken out a couple of benches and moved them to different areas so that we can keep 10 feet of social distancing.
What about like hand weights?
Those will be
exercise
available.
balls? They just have to
and
wipe them down and stuff.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a person outside of each room upstairs in 2 different stations watching, making sure that people are sanitizing before and after, and if they don't, that person has to go in there and
Okay.
sanitize what they used.
And so the cardio room, the 10-foot, that's the governor's recommendation?
Yes, for gyms, because
For
of the
gyms.
heavy breathing and
okay.
this, yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay.
This
Questions,
is
Todd?
leadership. And we appreciate it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So this is difficult stuff. This is hard stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough for
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
awesome.
doing to
I can't thank
keep
my-
us safe.
My staff has been awesome through it all. They keeping high spirits through it all, but it's been good. Did you guys want to know anything about employee safety?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
our
please.
most, I mean, it says right there, it's our most number one priority, so I hope it's yours. But employees are going to go through the symptom checking before every shift, including temperature, and we keep those logs. Employees got to wear the face
Wow.
coverings. Patrons encouraged to wear them. And we got the protective barrier, maintain the 10 feet.
Tyler, who's running your employee thing? Are you rotating that too and safeguards there? Who's checking the employees when they come in?
So the main point of contact will be me. I'm the COVID-19 representative for the rec center. And then at night, I'm going to have one of my full-time staff, either Doreen or Mandy,
Run that.
checking on things like that. So, and we'll be making regular announcements to remind employees and customers to follow, as you guys have been through Costco.
Is that just like on the
hearing those.
intercom?
On the intercom. We're going to continue to use online conferencing, email, and we're going to be making a list of high-touch surface areas that require disinfecting. So you'll see, like I talked about the different stations, there's going to be someone wiping down all the time, workstations, countertops, handrails, doorknobs, break rooms, bathrooms.
Wow.
And
And is that Lysol wipes? Is that spray with a rag? Like,
so
what is
we've
that?
got our spray with a rag with disinfectant that will be going around. What we're providing for the public is and this is gonna be the hardest thing, is the hand sanitizer. I've looked everywhere, and I've talked to Chief Thomas about it, and he's doing the same thing, he says, pretty much. And so we've got a pretty good stock right now, and I've got some contacts I'm talking to through other rec centers that they've been able to find some things, so.
Could people be encouraged to bring their own?
Yeah, I could do that. I could, when I put that out, so.
Because most residents are gonna have like a small bottle, like a travel size, and they could throw it in a gym bag or something and bring
Yeah.
it, so.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Sid. So we'll put that out.
I'm full of them, so just keep rolling.
Anyway, and the last thing, these are the things, they'll wear a mask, wear gloves, clean surfaces with soap and water if it's dirty before disinfecting. And then we're making sure we're using the appropriate disinfectant and bleach. Yeah, that's where it's at today. And like Scott said, it changes daily. And we just check that.
It'll change before June 1st.
Yeah.
So Tyler,
So-
what was on classes? Is there any mention of classes on here?
According in the orange, moderate risk.
So
we-
the document you just showed, is that going out to residents?
Yeah, that's the one I want to send to everyone because it kind of
And so
highlights.
Can we add something about the classes on
Yeah,
there?
I can
Okay.
add that in there. So it says.
There's no group activity, I think is what it says,
What it says, yeah.
under
Oh, it says
orange.
no group, okay.
So
I
it
just wanna-
says no group or team activities, and that's where our team sports come into play.
I just want to
And-
make sure, maybe just the fitness classes, so people don't think that you're just referring to just the sports, and the classes are open as well,
Okay.
like spin and, you know, things like
I'll
that.
add that, that's what we'll put, so, yeah, I'll add that.
If I can just add a couple things. When people come in and they're in the gym, and it says that if they're in a family, they don't have to social distance. Obviously, we're not going to know who's related to who. So I don't want the employees to be the social distancing police. That puts us in an adversarial relationship with our patrons. And so there might be some reminders of some sort, but we are not going to be really getting in there and telling people they got to do that. So we just want you to be aware, enforcement-wise, it's going to be a little bit on the light side, really just to kind of keep the peace and do what we can to keep people healthy, but that one is a little bit hard to kind of figure out. Also, just so you're aware, and we haven't put a number to this, but there's an expense to open up the rec center with limited use. And so we're incurring some costs where we're not seeing the revenue on the back end that we would normally see. So we just have to understand that as we go, that there is some financial considerations that, and it's gonna be the same with the swim pool too, because when we can't operate at capacity and, you know, there's just gonna be some costs that are fixed that we're gonna be making. And our employees, Tyler and Brett, well, all of them have done a fantastic job of putting this together. I mean, this plan has been worked on, I think, for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And they've, because it does change almost every day, they've been pretty flexible, but with an understanding that they might have to make decisions once we open to change mid-course just based on what's happening, or if we get further direction from the state on some of these things. It will be interesting to see some of the challenges that are going to come from this as rec centers open and just really kind of managing people and how that's going to work. So we're prepared. I think the team's ready. At least I feel comfortable that we have our staff in a safe place. That's my biggest concern, is making sure we're keeping our staff healthy because we are going to be now dealing with the public face-to-face different than maybe, well, what we've been doing in the rec for the last 2 months. We haven't. So just appreciate what they've done to get us ready for that.
Yeah.
Oh, what about passes and payment? What, speaking of that, what were we
Yeah,
going to do?
So what Provo has, since they're the ones doing it currently, that's what we can look to. They have said at this time they are not activating the waiting time on the passes. So, because our plan was to add whatever we've missed to the end of their passes. And so Provo, a day ago, it said that they were going to start them in June, but then they just sent another one today that says they do not know when they're going to actually activate passes and get those going again. So
When
that's
you
some-
say activate, does that mean current pass holders, or you're not offering any
So we-
passes to new people?
Yeah, so our 6-month and our month pass, all of those, and then we also have auto renewals and things like that. So all those, we just have to get going again since we've been down. And so where we're limiting it and limiting the people coming in, it would be hard to get those charging again when they might not be able to come in because of our numbers.
Yeah, if somebody has a family pass and their kids aren't allowed to come in right now, it's probably not fair that the clock starts ticking on their
Right.
pass. And so that's a little bit of the revenue thing that I'm talking about is, and hopefully that changes here soon, but at least to start, we are going to be a little incremental, I think, on how we handle this. Did we talk about people dropping in then? Were we going to?
Sorry, yeah, is that what you meant too, Scott?
Well,
yeah.
that on top of that.
Okay.
Wait, so we are only
Members-
opening it to existing,
pass holders.
current pass holders?
That's what
Okay.
we have in our plan to start.
I missed that part, sorry.
Sorry.
What, so no one that maybe uses a card or anything, so you have to be an existing pass holder to come in?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just, we want to take care of the people who bought
We have limited
memberships, our
capacity.
residents, and
Gotcha.
with the limited, we want to make sure our residents and members are being, because if other rec centers aren't opening around us, they go, oh, Pleasant Grove Rec Center is open, and
Okay.
they come in, so.
And
But part of that too
It cuts
is-
down the interaction with staff as well.
Yeah.
Money
So.
and-
they
Yeah, and then
come
money
in.
exchanged and
Okay.
things like that.
Those are things we hope can change as we get going for a few weeks, but for right now, we are kind of we're getting open, but taking a pretty conservative approach.
Can you add that to your list too, for the public?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was on there. I'll double check it.
It might be. I
Yeah.
can't scroll up and down, so.
You're good.
Any other questions for
No, just thank you. Tell your
Yeah.
staff
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Eric? Should we shoot for Friday? Or you want to still talk?
It's good. It's good. We're good.
If there's no other question, are you good
Welcome
to
to
open
city
Friday?
Welcome to leadership.
Todd,
No, I
Friday?
think it's a good
Yeah,
plan.
I'm ready.
Move forward?
Yep. Yep, they've done a good job.
Let's do it.
Okay, sounds like he's got a plan, so
Okay, Friday.
Friday.
Okay, I'll get some stuff out to
Probably
everyone.
close you on Saturday, but at least get Friday.
And I would just wonder, are we moving forward being ready for team sports? Like, are you, once we get the go-ahead, you know, are you amping up, ready to go, ready to
Team sports, you
open?
mean for-
Yeah, like we've been holding on to as much as we can to registrations right now, and
Okay.
we're just contacting them because obviously parents are dying to hear. And so, Provo in their plan, they canceled a lot of their sports, not all sports, I would say, but a lot of their spring baseball.
For the summer or just through May?
Pretty much, I'll have to double check. It's on there, what they put out, but a lot of their sports. A summer men's basketball was canceled, and we're trying to hold over spring men's basketball.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm just wondering, so once that approval goes statewide, you know, let's just be ready to run
yeah,
with
because
that.
what the plan says that's out to the version 4 is that they can be done with extreme caution is all we've
Yeah.
got right now. And so we would like to get a little bit more.
That's
of
under yellow?
Yeah.
With extreme caution, but no other detail.
No other detail is
So
that
Tyler, is
they can
there-
be done with it.
Yeah.
I said as soon as we get into that. So yeah, as soon as we go to yellow.
So
And
what,
so,
okay, well, no, go ahead.
so if it is spring men's basketball, and the team is playing, you know, and you have the fans that are you know, correctly spaced, you know, is that what that means? But I would just love to just keep those people on, ready to go, and then the minute it happens, we're ready to
I
launch
know,
it.
those answers to those questions.
I know.
Can a guy guard a guy close?
Yes.
For basketball. and
It
stuff
might
like
be the best year of basketball ever.
I might play. Maybe I could play again.
that. It's the NBA, they don't play defense.
I
so
could,
So,
we're good.
Tyler, I have a question.
you.
Tyler, question. So how many people are allowed into the facility at a time? How are you gonna have one way in, one way out? I mean, we kind of have that right now anyway, but is someone monitoring, so letting people in, and what happens if they show up at the door? Are they just turned away? Like, what's the process look like?
So
for
right when they
someone
come to
coming?
the door, there's gonna be dots you'll see that say, please maintain social distancing, the 10 foot. And so they're gonna wait on those dots. And then when they come in, like I said, they check out that bottle. We know which rooms are getting full. We don't anticipate, this is our slower time of year. And with the 18 and older, we don't anticipate, but we'll see. And so, and then in the gymnasiums, we didn't put a number on that yet because we're just waiting to see how popular it is when it comes back. But we do have numbers for all of our rooms.
And so an employee may have to, at the door, there's a process or a plan in case it starts getting crowded.
Yeah, we're gonna invite them to go in the gym and to wait because that's where we've got our most space. And then as soon as it becomes available, one of those bottles, we'll send them up there if they're all full.
Okay. And as far as signage, is that you've just made like kind of laminated signs and things like that?
Lots of laminated
Okay.
signs and
Okay,
things like that.
cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll expect you all there Friday morning at 5 a.m. All right. Okay, next up is library. As we have been doing our research with what other places, other cities are doing in Utah County, there are different approaches to what people are doing with their libraries. Most libraries are continuing just to be curbside only. So Saratoga Springs, Lehigh, American Fork are practicing that. Provo. Provo is probably the biggest library. They're continuing curbside. Orem is doing what they call by appointment only. Springville's also curbside, sorry. So almost all the libraries except for Orem and Spanish Fork. Orem is by appointment only, which I think just means that you sign up for a time and then you can go in, and they're just trying to limit the number of people in the library. And then Spanish Fork has opened for 2 hours, starting today. I think they said was their first day of doing that. And they are open from like 2 to 4, so they just have a 2-hour window. It's interesting, as we've talked, the issues with library, if somebody is coming in to peruse books, they touch a book, technically we need to go wipe it off. And so this becomes the issue of trying to open up a library, is because of all the touching of books. In essence, we would need employees just walking around wiping those down as they're touched. My opinion would be that we just ramp up our curbside, we do more days for longer hours, and continue to keep the relationship between the public and the employees at an arm's length as far as that's concerned. Because I feel like our level of service can be roughly the same, not 100% the same, but roughly the same, and by doing curbside. Because really the difference is they give us a list of books, we go pull the books then, so we're not touching all these books we don't need to touch. We're just going to pull the books. We're presenting it to them, they come and get them, and they can go. And so we keep that relationship between outside the library and inside the library. The thing that's different with the rec is that our level of service is either we're open or closed. There's no middle ground. With library, there can be a middle ground, which would be the curbside. And I think that's why most places are choosing to do that, is until they, what we've been told, until they go yellow, until the state goes yellow, they're gonna continue with the curbside. But there have been a couple cities that have, that are opening their doors, Orem and Spanish Fork being 2 of them. So what I've asked Sherry is to present a plan. So, I mean, our preference is to stay curbside, but she does have a plan in place that if we feel we need to open the doors and get that traffic going, she does have a plan in place. So Sherry?
It's harder with the library.
It's different.
Good job, Kathy.
You've been practicing your whole life for that.
Am I? Is that the right place?
I think it goes where your,
No.
Where this?
was there.
No,
No.
it goes there. Just turn it the other way. Turn it over.
I think my thing is broken, actually.
Is it?
No, yeah, I think it is. I forgot that, because I haven't done a presentation with it for a while.
Oh, yeah, that's not going in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well-
Well, do you want to email it to me and I will put it up?
Kyler has also been preparing his whole life for this moment. Since he was 5.
We need the Kathys and Kylers of the world so that we can still have a meeting. They take care of us in that manner.
They were playing Mario Kart when they were 5.
I had a stick and a rock.
Okay. I played Pong.
Does it take a while for it to ask for the code? Yeah. I couldn't see where. I think that's the same thing.
You want to just email it to me?
Do you want to just
Oh,
tell
wait,
us?
there we go.
You just-
I just had to go one more step. So what we were thinking, when we get to reopen, whenever that is to start it out as more of a grab-and-go service. And I have this divided into different categories. So the first one is disinfecting/protection. And so I have the protecting staff and patrons kind of mixed up in this. I can separate it like Tyler did if that's helpful. But taking temperatures of staff, asking sick staff to go home, sick patrons to leave, wipe checkout screens. They're touch screens, so they are going to have to be wiped between every person. And then we need hand sanitizer. So again, that's an issue. At every checkout and near the exits. Limit number of patrons in building, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Limit computer time. If we decide to keep the computers available, then we would limit to 20 to 30 minutes per patron. So basically enough time to do whatever, sometimes an unemployment application, things like that. They might need a little computer time. Credit card payments only. Discourage loitering, which normally we would say is hanging out, and that's an awesome thing, but not for a little while. Post signs, have staff wear masks and gloves, which they have been doing through all of the curbside service. We've been wearing gloves and masks the whole time. Custodians clean bathrooms more often if possible. I realize that may be a problem. Staff spray all door handles, railings, etc. We do that, but not on a scheduled basis, and we would probably need to schedule it. Clean staff stations between shift changes, clean public use keyboards, etc. Remove magazines and newspapers, and quarantine returned items. So we have not been taking returns since we closed. And so once we decide to start doing that, we'll quarantine them for 3 days. That's about how long they say it takes for the virus to die on plastic, and before checking them in. Which frustrates some patrons because they're used to seeing things checked in instantly, but yes.
Just one point, on Main Street, Soaplicity. I know that she transferred her entire soap-making business into a sanitizer-making business. So someone may want to chit-chat with Rashawn. She's a microbiologist by profession, so this might be a good idea to check her.
Yeah.
Sherry, is there any thought, if patrons wore gloves, could you cut down all of this sanitizing, the touch screens, the books?
I haven't tested whether the touch screens work with gloves. They might, my iPhone does, but.
The reason why
So
I say
the
that.
only concern I can see with that is, well, if they're not wearing masks, then they can still sneeze into their gloves.
Yeah.
But also just availability of gloves.
You can buy gloves at Harbor Freight for a little bit of nothing. I mean, they're really inexpensive.
Yeah.
We could look into that for sure.
And you could get different sizes. And, I mean, if it would work, then you would be able to allow them to come in, handle the book, and use the touch screen, and maybe say you have to wear a mask, and you could actually have people come in the building.
That's something to look at for sure.
You just have to walk, if they were walking around, they happen to then touch their face, right, accidentally, or like you said, then you're starting over.
Right,
With the gloves, right? Then you'd have to put new gloves on.
right. With the building, we plan to remove most of the furniture, so it's not tempting to just park for a while. And Dion, they did put up some plexiglass barriers, and we have the iPads and other toys in the library, which we would just take out. And we were thinking we might put chairs, just some of our folding chairs, out on the patio so that people can sit out there and use the Wi-Fi and social distance that way. As far as service goes, we would reduce our open hours so that we have time to shelve things before we open, so that the pages aren't there at the same time as patrons. And also, we would reduce number of staff working in a building at a time, so spread them out a little more. Right now, they're on top, well, before all this, they were on top of each other.
So maybe you're going to get to it, and you can tell me to wait here, but are you going to, because on your software, they can place a hold, and is that part of your grab and go, is
Yes.
they'll place the, okay,
Well, that's our curbside.
yeah.
A big part of it. Right now, the way it works is people can put books on hold, or they can call the library and leave a voicemail, and we go retrieve them. And
So
it
Sherry,
works
so-
pretty well.
So right now, you're just checking books out, you're not taking anything in.
Correct.
And how many books do you give out a day, or a week, whatever, you know?
Well, we've got done, at this point, I'm guessing, but around 2,000.
Okay.
Probably, maybe a little more.
So with the new plan, you're saying you would now start circulating those through after a 3-day quarantine?
After the 3 days, we would check it in and then put it back on the shelves.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that we could start taking books at any time and quarantining them. It's been a little bit of a staffing problem, but I think we could work it out.
So even if they're disinfected and wiped down, they still have to be quarantined, the books?
Well, we prefer to not have to go through and disinfect every single one and touch every single one. So that's why we would quarantine, because you can just get them out of the book drop and set them aside for 3 days, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Question that Diana actually just came up with, what about a UV light for the books?
The wand, the UV wands, are they showing that that's?
It is, they work, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Have you looked into that at all?
I haven't.
don't think they're
I
that
know that's what we're
expensive.
doing at Fox Hollow.
That's what we're doing at our house, so. They're just a UV wand and it has the UV light and you just scan it over.
It's used, used a lot for water sources.
Mm-hmm.
Kills active viruses and bacteria. I don't know, just a thought. I mean,
Might be faster
definitely,
than
we're dealing with a
wiping.
totally different problem with library as we are with the rec center.
Constant, I mean, this is.
Constant touching.
Yeah.
Right.
It's constant touching, so
It
I'm
could-
a little less hesitant to move on the library.
You-
Although, yeah.
It sounds
And
like we're doing.
2,000 books is a lot of staff to bring in.
Bring in.
Well,
Clean.
that's what we've checked out so far, but we
I
had a lot
know.
more than that when we
Beforehand.
closed, that people still just have at home,
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting.
But, I mean, we can deal with that when it comes. I'm not super concerned about that. It's just we have had people who have been very reluctant to even go to the book drop to pull them out and put them on carts, let alone wipe them down or check them in.
So, I mean, yeah, is the UV wand an option?
Reduce the time, like we can try it.
So how long do you need to wave it over something, or?
It's almost, like
Almost
a
instantaneous.
second.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just look into it.
I can look into it. My brother-in-law's a doctor. He can
Yes.
help me figure it out, too. He did bring that up, actually, at one point, but I don't remember where that discussion went. We talked about a lot of things.
Well, I would be interested to find out what the doctor brother-in-law says about it, so
Yeah, okay. What do those cost?
they're not.
They're not.
70 to 100, yeah, $69.
They're not expensive.
Okay, $69
Well,
on
we know
Amazon.
that Denise is actually on Amazon right now.
You got an order for 1,000 all right there?
Yeah, I mean, if we got 4 or 5, for the library.
Buy one, sell it to us for a couple of
Yeah. Price gouging.
So, I'm with Denise. I'm on the National Academies of Sciences and Engineering and Medicine, and it's, does ultraviolet light kill the coronavirus? And it's, yeah, the UV light has been shown to destroy other coronaviruses, so it'll probably work on the current coronavirus, but UV light does damage human skin, so it should only be used on objects and surfaces. So I'm gonna go back and look at Tyler. You know, Tyler, maybe this is an option for
Hard surfaces.
hard surfaces, right?
But you could wear gloves, right? I mean.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
obviously
you
when it
just,
damages
you don't want
skin.
to,
Right.
you can't sanitize your hands.
Right.
Well, you
Right,
couldn't
by-
do it like this.
Absolutely, yeah, you just don't want to,
So you'd have to lay the book down.
Lay them down on
scan
a
it.
table or something.
it.
and-
correct,
A
correct.
book is, I think, a great object for something like the wand.
Well, especially if you've got to do 2,000 books,
Right.
you know, and quarantine them for 3 days. This would solve your problem, so,
And it'd be a lot cheaper too.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot less messy than the disinfectant.
Yes, it would be. Okay, that's a good thing to look into. I'll look into it more. So some other things that we were talking about, let's see, continue curbside checkout 1 to 2 times per week for those people who still are not comfortable entering the building. Have designated hours like the grocery stores are for vulnerable patrons. But that might be an hour a day, 2 hours a day, something like that. Still, when we place things on hold, it has been people go pick it up from the hold shelves themselves and check them out, but we will do that instead so that they're not handling other neighbor holds. Reference assistance and reader's advisory, that's the part of our service that people aren't getting right now. And that will have to be from a distance. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how to do that from 6 feet away. That's hard. Very little computer help. Staff will release I know this is nitty-gritty stuff, but things we had to think about.
Advisory could actually, Zoom has altered the world, and there is literally a moment where you could call up and Zoom chat with a librarian.
Yeah, we could do it that way, and some libraries have started that type of service.
Okay.
What we like to be able to do is walk out to the shelf and say, well, there's this one, oh, that, you know, or there's this one, oh, that one's checked out, let's go check out, and walk around, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's just a different type of service. And then I just added, after seeing how Orem's doing it, time-limited visits by appointment. That's an idea we were trying to think of how do you limit the number of people without having somebody with a clicker or something, keeping track of who's entered and who's left, and we have 2 entrances, so that makes that even tricky. So maybe scheduled appointments would be the way to go.
So, question, Sherry, so I missed just the first part. Can you scroll up just a second? I can't on my computer. So is this effective when, or is this when we move into the next phase? Like, when would this plan start?
Well, it starts whenever the city council decides we're ready to open.
Our preference would be when we go yellow.
Okay.
Oh.
So in the meantime, what happens?
We continue curbside. We're still doing online story times.
And-
Big hit.
We're
Yeah.
doing multiple a week now. We have Spanish going.
Okay.
So would we
and
just increase curbside or keep, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, could.
Do
could-
more
And-
curbside
and more
hours.
Increase
time-
those days and
open
hours.
longer hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
We schedule, right now, we just have 2 3-hour shifts of curbside, Monday 3 to 6 and Thursday 12 to 3, hoping that we could cover people's lunch hours or after work. But we would probably want to add an evening or maybe a Saturday.
Okay, I like it. I like the Saturday idea too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's something we
done.
could do in the meantime until we go to yellow.
That's what I would prefer.
Well, that's what we're asking here, so it's the council's
Yeah, I
decision.
like that.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to fully open the library.
I think we're,
And I love the plan. I think we're, you know, I think we have to plan on the future. But I think if we open up hours and things like that, I think that's a good start for us right now.
Yeah, I like this with increasing the current, hours of what we're doing. I think definitely look into the UV wand. I think that's an option for several city department. So, yeah, I like that. That's
Well,
good.
I've got a staff of researchers, we'll look into it.
Hey,
And
yeah,
I'd
let's
love
do
to
it.
find out
When
what
do
you
you,
find
when do
out.
you start the fun of bringing the books back? And
I actually have wanted to do it for a while, just so that we don't get inundated,
It's a good
but
point.
I've had staff who are more reluctant
So
to do
do the
that,
research
so-
on the wand and find out if that alleviates their nervousness.
Yeah,
Could you even break it up like, well, never mind. I was gonna say even like in an alphabetical order for patrons, like if your name is this, bring your book back. I don't know, but then how are you gonna notify them of that?
yeah. I think, well, initially, we would get slammed and have to empty the book drop every half hour, but then after that, it would slow down, we'd be okay. We could deal with it.
I like the plan.
Okay,
Well
good,
done, Sherry.
Council?
Thank you, thank you.
And when would those increased hours for the curbside start?
Those could start within a week or two.
Okay.
Just a matter of getting the schedule up.
Yeah, we'll see what they pile on us on the regulations on when we go to yellow.
Yeah, they haven't really addressed libraries specifically, so I was looking at retail, but we're not exactly the same as retail either.
Sherry, in the 4.0, they do have libraries
Yeah.
called out now.
Oh, they do now?
Yep,
4.0.
Which was-
They'll be hitting us.
as of Friday,
Oh,
so
okay.
4 days ago.
I'm off by 4 days.
Scott, I do have another question about
you, Sherry.
the police lobby.
Well, he's still gonna,
Do we want to tackle that after council
Oh,
meeting?
we're
Or
still
that-
tackling,
let's,
okay.
Because we do need to talk about City Hall and all the other facilities and
Okay.
how open we
I
want
didn't know
those
that
to be.
was-
So if we want to adjourn and
Sure.
come back at 6, and we'll have our meeting, and then we'll tackle that one as we get through
That'll
our
work.
items.
Yeah, that's great.
okay, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.